Joan Miró was almost 80 when he painted The Hope of a Condemned Man, which is on the wall behind me, a vast triptych, the third of the 4 or 5 that he made in the last years of his life. It's got a pretty miserable title for a pretty hard subject. Of course, we're all condemned, and Miró was getting old, so maybe he was thinking of himself. But he was also thinking of a young Catalan boy called Salvador Puig Antich. Less than a month after Miró's painting was completed, Puig Antich was killed by garrote in prison for the apparent assassination of an admiral in Madrid in a car bomb. Whether or not he took part in this is under some doubt, although he was an anarchist. Miró himself had had anarchist sympathies in his youth, but always refused to become either an anarchist or a communist. What he was a free thinker, and nowhere is that free thinking more visible than in his line. You can see it here, flailing through these 3 huge canvases. Throughout his career, whether Miró was drawing a horizon, or the outline of a rabbit, or a calligraphic stroke like those in this big painting, his line always had an amazing vitality and a huge range of expression. The line can be like a whiplash or a punch, or it can be something much more delicate, almost holding and protective, or it can fall almost with a kind of lurch of the stomach, perhaps like imagining the feelings in the mind of the man condemned to die. But you might even see it as the garrote itself, strapped around the man's neck and about to be turned against a wooden post, breaking his neck and suffocating him. But it's a mistake, really, to see Miró's work as ever being quite so literal. We don't know what every element means. These scribbled blotches of bright colour, the little almost spray gun dots, or these dismissive flails of a brush pushing upwards these spatters of paint across the bottom of the canvases. Tears, rain, disgust, frustration. And what about the whites? These white marks which bleed up and across the canvas. Often in his work there's something very visceral, and you could almost see it perhaps as like sperm being spilled, the dead man's last ejaculation. Miró was painting in Mallorca in a specially designed studio, and also in the old house next door where he made some of these big triptychs. What was he thinking, far from the centre of Franquist power, on the fringes of Catalonia, waiting for a revolution? Well, a revolution came this year in 1974 in Portugal, and Franco died less than 12 months later. It wasn't until the late 70s that the move towards greater democratic reforms took place, but already Miró's paintings were out in the world and visible in Spain. These little jumbles of bright colour look like hope to me, or something like it. And throughout his work, there's a sense of this white space where painting begins as being a kind of possibility and an opening. When he gave a speech in Barcelona at the university, when he was given an honorary doctorate in the late 70s, he talked about his art as being about a negation of negations. It demonstrates freedom. That's what it seems to be about, more than anything.